everyone, and welcome to the podcast about all things entrepreneurship. Today, we have an amazing guest. Very happy to see you, Tadi. Tadi is a recording artist par extraordinaire and a serial entrepreneur, and happens to be a student of mine. And so we are going to hear all about Tadi and his journey about entrepreneurship, get some of his perspective, know what he's doing. And so without any further ado, tell us about yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm a recording artist, music producer, but more than anything, a serial entrepreneur. So basically what happened when I was a kid, I got on this website and I just started putting these sounds together. And I didn't realize it, but I was producing music on a website video game, right? It was and so I got bit by that bug at like 10, 11 years old. I'm like, I need more. So I kept searching the internet for like making music online and found something, and then found out about software, and then I want to release music. And so started graphic designing my own cover art, and I had to figure out how to like make a song, put the song out on SoundCloud, and then like build a community and ultimately get fans. And I'm all like 12 years old, just like at the computer, just how to do this, going to YouTube University. And then that continued, and it required me to, be my own manager and, eventually start having my own shows. And I'm in like this alternative pop group, and I'm playing the cajon, and we're touring schools around our school district. And before I knew it, I had all these responsibilities, more than just making music on a computer. And through that, it made me realize like, oh, I'm running a business here. I'm able to tell stories through music, and now I'm singing and rapping and doing all the songwriting, not just composing the beats. And I'm going up in front of stage. I can sell merchandise. And then it turns out that selling t-shirts has bigger margins than selling tickets or getting streams. And so then you start becoming a traveling shirt salesman on top of all these other things. And so fast forward to now, or approximately a year ago.
No, don't go there.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
I'll get there, but something caught my attention. So you're doing all of this stuff when you're 12 years old.
Yeah.
What happened to school? Didn't your parents say that? What's going on with your grades?
Okay, so my grades have slipped my entire life because I was always on the internet. I was always on YouTube. I was making YouTube videos. I would carve faces into soap and like make paper guns and then post that on YouTube. And I'd play video games and like set up a little camcorder in front of the TV. And so these were all the things I was doing after school, are the reason why I was sick and not going to school. And music took the place of all those other things I was doing. So I kept not going to school and all that stuff. So yeah, you want to know what happened to my grades? They were zipped. They were nada, but I made it.
What would you tell these kids who are saying, here is my role model?
Oh, well, I'd say if you're going to do something, go all the way with it. And I was a kid, and so I had more time, and the pressures of making mistakes were far lesser. And I don't know, my parents saw that I was deeply in love with this way of expressing myself, and I'm grateful enough to have parents who also supported it, but had a strong hand when it came down to the boundaries and expectations around, being intelligent and being learned about something.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. It kind of leads me to my next question is, so are entrepreneurs born with it, or they get entrepreneurship injected in them as they grow older?
I love the question because it reminds me of, I was asked the same question about leadership. Are people born leaders, or are they carved into leaders, right? And I think that there's a myriad of parameters, a myriad of factors that play into this. It's like you have the factor of environment, the variable of environment. You have did you drink water today? Like, am I short? Can I even show up as a leader? Can I even show up and do it? There's all these different things, and I don't want to go too convoluted. But what I'm getting at is it's easy to say that we were born into it, but I think honestly the truth is that it just is. You have it. Your environment sets you up for it. This tenacity, this grit, this new exploration, the people around you. There's people that wake up one morning and decide that they want something of their own. And regardless of what qualities they had up to that point, they woke up, they breathed, and they decided an independent thought. And it's up to them to chase it, regardless if they're born with it or not. Even if you have it, it doesn't mean that you're going to chase it down and want it as much as you need to breathe. And so you can be born with it, you can craft it out, but really, do you want it as bad as you breathe?
How important is the environment or the terroir? You're a wine guy. You know what I'm talking about. The terroir important for an entrepreneur, even if they have it or if they don't have it, to get injected by it. How important is the environment?
I say the importance of the environment is paramount because, I mean, even me growing up around my parents, Pops was always cleaning cars, buffing them out, and he'd had a clientele list, a portfolio of people all around Indianapolis. And, sometimes I wouldn't see him all day because he was on the ground buffing the low parts of the car and, all these different things with one leg, making sure that he could figure out how to put food on the table. And he couldn't work anybody else's regular job, so he had to go out there and get it himself. And then my mama, getting a water tumor in her brain and, losing her cushy software job. So she has to go and be a part of a car dealership. And then she starts working on her own entrepreneurial campaigns and becoming the top seller. And then I'm ready to go start a food truck outside of my favorite club. And then, increasing her margins by doing a food truck outside of her favorite club. So she's no longer just wasting time doing something that she loves. She's also monetizing it. And so I'm getting all these different examples of what it means to start something, whether or not out of desperation or because you have confidence in yourself and in your community that we can do this.
So that everybody know, Tadi just received funding for his, I don't know if it's the second venture or the third. So congratulations.
Thank you.
That's very important. So let's talk about your ventures. Talk to me about your first one and then the second one. Talk to me about failures.
Yeah.
Talk to me about successes.
Yeah, and honestly, I think we could stretch this one out. So the first venture, of course, is the recording artistry, music production career, and that's what I sell the merch and do shows. I have a live band, and so that has been my main monetization point over the last 4 years now. And I had reached a point where my margins were what I wanted them to be, my profits, my all of that. And I was banging my head against the wall because I'm releasing these new merch lines. Nobody's buying it. I'm looking around what? And I didn't understand. It was because nobody asked for it. Everyone was asking for new music. Nobody was asking for new merch. And I did the merch thing and did the show thing for so long, I didn't realize that my base wanted more music. And so once I looked back, I was able to start listening. Oh, I should probably give them what they want. And lo and behold, I give them a project, and then I got 6 more shows, and I got, merch flying off the shelves, making back all the expense, and, before I even go up on stage, right? But what ended up happening is I joined MSIVD. I know we'll touch more on that.
No, you add on to it. That's fine. You can discover it.
I got my Master's of Science in Innovation and Venture Development here at WP Carey.
You know that we're changing the name to Masters in Entrepreneurship and Innovation now. It'll become Masters E&I.
We love that. Yeah. We love that. And so, can I change that on my paper? I'm can I change that? I kind of like the way that sounds.
Yeah, it's, I'm not sure you can change it up.
Okay, all right.
But for the future.
Yeah, you can't give me a good name like that. Okay. So I was banging my head against the wall because my merch wasn't selling, and then I get into the program, and immediately the first thing they say is, talk to your customers, ask them what they want, even if you got to read in between the lines.
Yeah.
So that's when I figured out, okay, I need to be giving them new music, not giving them more T-shirts to wear. Okay. Then I started this business named Contact. And its whole thing is we put music into movies, right? And because I have all these friends who are artists, and I'm going to these different conferences and the people who buy music for movies and video games, etc., are at those conferences. So I have two sides of the marketplace. I need to create this intermediary. And what I ended up finding is okay, I like this. This has a good ego feeling. But we're getting paid net 30, net 60, and we're a startup, and all these other licensing things. And we're looking around, we're like, wait a minute. Did you hear about that new chat GPT, like GPT-3? Did you hear? And we're looking around, like, hold on. And we start doing research. GPT-2. This is the future. This is like November of 2022, right? And so as we're like talking about trying to put music into movies, and then AI comes out of nowhere, we're like, wait a minute. This could change the entertainment industry forever. And we're like, okay, well, what do we need to do? Well, we don't need to like wait so long to get paid in putting music into movies. How about we change our customer base? And so all the while programs going on, I'm interviewing like 250 people, and got it all on this sheet, organizing what they say, measurables in between, like how long is it taking someone to do a certain action, whether or not that's a music supervisor or it's our new customer base, which are YouTubers, content creators, podcasters, etc., who need music for their projects. And then we're like, okay, let's rope in the AI side. Of course, having a natural language model that people would be able to interface with, or just be able to type in what they're looking for, even if they don't have all the words to describe the genre. Now, the true part of the AI coming in to revolutionize the whole putting music into moving media was, okay, we can have pre-existing music that we can have the YouTuber customize to literally fit their video. But we make the customization point in that appetizing natural language model, slider that you move up and down to make the song climax or decrescendo when you need it. Basically democratizing music production through these AI models that allow you to manipulate music. And so we then began to create a business model around that. I ended up pitching and getting I got money and started building a prototype and had a legal clinic, and I had about 17 people working under contract at the height of it all. And it was really that time in my entrepreneurial journey where I was told, like, either you boss up or you get out the way kind of scenario, having co-founders and working through all of that. But then this new venture, post-contact, is called Angel Concepts. And Angel Concepts, we have a dual tank vaporizer that allows you to switch between two different extracts within the pen. So there's a switch on the side, you flip up or down, and you can move between two different potencies, two different experiences, one would say, with the cannabis medication. So
is the first or the second venture still going on, or is it that shut down and this is a new one?
So with Contact, we have this prototype. I think that we've reached a far more theoretical point than I'd like, so it can't move as fast as I want. So it's one of those ventures where it's like, okay, well, we own the IP, all the contracts are good, there's some certain kind of validation, but this isn't one that's going to help pay me today. This isn't one that's going to help. It was the one that helped me open up doors in South by Southwest and get into Grammy parties. The way that I see my entrepreneurial journey, it's like leapfrog. And as money-driven as I am, I'm mission-driven. And I am here for the thrill of the hunt. Yeah. And so I sunsetted but didn't completely sunset Contact. It's, it's vague,
So talk to me about your biggest failure. I'm not going to ask you, before that, let me ask you a question. How did you come up with the names for your companies?
Yeah. So for the music, it's Rozo Tadi, right? And for the AI music company, it was Contact, Contak.
How? What does it mean?
So it's like coming in contact with that like initial spark of inspiration. And like I'm a visual storyteller, and so a lot of things start off visually for me. Like I had took a photo of a ledge with water right under it, and it like had this ripple from raindrops, and so it created this weird refraction, and it looked like an initial point of contact and the ripple that happens after it. And so I was like, contact. But how can we make this look cooler? How can we make this phonetically look cooler? Just take out the CT and just have a K at the end, contact. Cool. And so it feels edgy, but then it's also cool looking.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. People don't ask about how the names come up. I'm an entrepreneur, so that's something I know how hard it is and how satisfying it is to come up with a name that actually resonates.
Yeah.
So, and what about the third one?
So Angel Concepts. I actually wasn't there for the name, but I guess there's a synonym between, cannabis products and, a higher state of being. So Angel Concepts.
Very interesting.
And we're really at that nexus of like cannabis and technology, being able to integrate more. Being tech-driven is like at the cornerstone of a lot of my entrepreneurial journey, and so figuring out ways that we can use technology to increase the human experience, better the human experience. Like with computers, my goal is to get people's lives down to the least amount of clicks as possible. So you can only imagine what it'd be in other physical product lineups, like the pen. It's like, how can we give you that surprise and delight in an affordable package that will also allow you to customize the experience that you're having on the go?
Circle back to one of the questions. Biggest failure?
Yes. You talk to me about the name. I'm a design cat, so I'm like, the name is the easiest thing for me. But biggest failure.
From which you learned the most?
Yeah. It has to do with, my biggest failure has to do with equity for contact. I just put off the equity conversation far too long, especially when I had so many heads coming in to help build the vision. I was way too passive, and just like a result of the failure is, when you don't have any money in a venture, all you have is equity and trust. Of course, you have other IP documents, whatever it may be, but equity and trust. And when there's no money, and then you're being passive about equity, ultimately the trust ends up getting hurt. And so one of the biggest challenges and obstacles with contact was making sure I can be in the driver's seat in making sure that my team is okay, right? Like, I should have put on the risk register the inaction around equity. I didn't foresee that in myself because I thought I was running a good company and doing good business, but in the process I was putting things to the side that I felt like wasn't as important when it was paramount to my team. And so I'm rushing them across the finish line when all these other steps weren't taken in the relay. And it put pressures. So when things were finally happening, there were all these pressures in the cooker. Like, we were ready to explode. So we couldn't even do the most simplest action of getting over the required documents to the legal clinic because in regards to equity, I didn't fully show up to the conversation the way that I needed to, even though as ready as I was, and I'm saying all these pretty words don't mean anything unless it's on paper, and we can stand by our words, stand on our business. And so my biggest failure was leading to the almost implosion of my business as we were about to go to market.
No, thank you for sharing that with us. I know it's painful. It's revisiting failures is always painful, but that's where you learn the biggest lessons. And I speak from personal experience. Last question. All the people sitting out there who are like, most of the startups fail. Look at him. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's been doing it since he was 12 years old. and he's jumping one from the other. What would you advise people who are saying that high risk, I don't know if it is for me? What would you tell them?
I think one of the first things I'd have to say is I mean, if you want to do something, go 100%. Don't look back. If you want something as bad as you want to breathe, like, I guess I'll put it in my most candid way. I don't really care about any doubts that I have. I have this desired state. I have these values, and I have a mission that sometimes gets muddied, but at the end of the day, there's a certain kind of happiness that I want that is intertwined with my tenacity and process around being an entrepreneur. My identity ultimately is melded into the entrepreneurial lifestyle and vision, and it doesn't matter if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 companies fail. It's the process. I'm not in it just for the big check and then I'm gone. I'm in it because I love this. I'm in it because it's an opportunity to create generational wealth. I mean, if we want to bring numbers in it, majority of people after $1 million of net worth, the majority of their net worth are business interests. So that means that if we want to have anything past $1 million in net worth, you have to diversify your portfolio. And business interests is going to take up a huge chunk of your portfolio if you see yourself having generational wealth that can pass down hundreds and hundreds of years. I'm motivated by the starting point of my people. I'm motivated by the starting point that my ancestors had when they got into this country. And I know that the entrepreneurial journey and having companies and failing and succeeding, all these different things are just a part of the process to ultimately open up more doors for my community, my family, and diversifying the portfolio to mitigate risk, right? So if a risk is that we're going to fail, that's a risk well taken because, I mean, are we alive after? Are we still breathing? Do we still have the vision of this is where we want to be? And there's going to be a whole bunch of steps in between. So that's what I would say.
What an amazing summary to the entire podcast. So here you have it, Unfiltered, Tadi Prim, and best of luck for everything you do in life. And we will see all of you soon enough.